What if the biggest problem in Escape from Tarkov isn't the cheaters themselves, but the unnerving possibility that the developers, Battlestate Games, have a financial incentive for them to exist? The most recent ban wave was a public relations victory, but for many players, it only papered over a much darker reality. We're going to explore the explosive theory that Battlestate Games might be letting cheaters run rampant for profit. The cycle is brutally familiar. A new wipe drops, hope is renewed. For a few glorious weeks, the raids in Escape from Tarkov feel tense, tactical, and deeply rewarding. But then, the whispers start. A death that felt just a little too perfect. A player who knew exactly which dark corner you were hiding in. Before long, the game's core tension is replaced by a gnawing suspicion. And every loss feels less like a lesson and more like a theft. In mid-July 2025, that suspicion boiled over once again when Battlestate Games, or BSG, announced a massive ban wave, claiming to have removed thousands of cheating accounts. High-profile streamers were caught in the net, sending ripples through the community and fueling endless suspicion. It was a public display of force, a declaration that developers were taking the fight to the enemy. But for a community that has been battling this plague for years, it felt like déjà vu. We've seen these waves before, we've heard these promises, and yet, many players feel the cheating problem in 2025 is worse than it has ever been. This sentiment was famously validated by the YouTuber Goat in his documentary, The Wiggle That Killed Tarkov, a video that became a cultural touchstone for millions of players. It wasn't just a video, it was an expose that confirmed every player's worst fears about the sheer scale of the infestation. So, the fundamental question remains, after years of updates, ban waves, and public statements, why does the cheating problem not only persist, but seemingly thrive? Is it a simple case of developer incompetence in an unwinnable arms race, or is it something far more cynical? A deliberate, calculated business decision that places profit above the game's integrity? On the surface, Battlestate Games presents a story of a developer fighting the good fight. Their efforts, at a glance, seem commendable. The company have publicly stated they've increased their investment in sophisticated anti-cheat, moving beyond simple software scans to focus on server-side checks and advanced behaviour-based detection. This goal is to catch players who exhibit inhuman skills, impossible accuracy, inhuman reaction times, even if the cheat itself is undetectable. The head of BSG, Nikita, has been vocal about the struggle, framing it as a hard, never-ending war against cheat developers. He has praised his team's work, and indeed, recent ban waves have caused significant disruption in the cheating underworld. Reports from July 2025 indicated that a major Tarkov cheat provider was hit so hard that its software was rendered useless. With thousands of its users banned, for the first time in nearly a year, one of the most popular cheats was finally detected, sending panic through the cheat forums and Discord servers. This is the narrative BSG presents. A developer locked in a valiant, perpetual struggle. They are the guardians of Tarkov, working to protect the player experience. But for a growing portion of the player base, this story is wearing thin. The results on the ground simply don't align with the promise from the studio. This disconnect is what gives birth to a much darker theory. Now, it's certainly not a theory of my own. I don't believe a gaming company would promote cheating. Why focus on the small percentage over the vast majority? It doesn't make for good business. But here is the explosive theory that circulates on Reddit, in Discord channels and on forums. What if BSG doesn't truly want to solve the cheating problem? What if, from a purely financial perspective, they have a powerful incentive to let it continue? Consider Tarkov's business model. It's not a subscription. You buy it once and you play. For a developer, this means revenue is primarily driven by new sales. How do you ensure a steady stream of new sales years after the game's initial hype has faded? The answer, according to this theory, lies with the cheaters themselves. The logic is as simple as it is bleak. First, a player buys the game and starts cheating. Eventually, they are caught in a ban wave and their account is terminated. But because they often profit from cheating, either through real money trading, RMT, or the power trip it provides, they are highly motivated to return. So what do? they buy another copy of the game. This creates a perverse, recurring revenue cycle. Ban a cheater, sell another copy of Escape from Tarkov. Many cheaters have even purchased the Edge of Darkness edition, the largest stash size and starting gear, maximising the revenue for BSG with each new purchase. In this scenario, every ban wave isn't just a cleansing of the servers, it's a potential sales spike. This suspicion is openly voiced by players who feel that BSG's monetization model is fundamentally at odds with eradicating cheaters. The problem's persistence, they argue, isn't a failure of enforcement, but a feature of the business plan. While there are no leaked financial documents proving this theory, there is a mountain of circumstantial evidence. The community suspicion isn't born from nothing, it's built on years of observing patterns that suggest, at best, baffling incompetence and, at worst, calculated inaction. The first pattern is the reactive nature of enforcement. Major ban waves rarely seem to happen proactively. Instead, they almost always follow a massive community uproar. It took the GOAT video with its millions of views to trigger a significant response. The July 2025 wave followed intense community pressure and the public exposure of cheating streamers. This creates the perception that ban waves are less of a consistent strategy and more of a public relations tool to placate an angry player base until the heat dies down. The second pattern is the sheer audacity of modern cheating. Despite BSG claims of investing in behavioural detection, players in 2025 report more blatant cheating than ever before. Not just subtle wall hacks, but players flying through the sky, speed hacking across the map, and absorbing entire magazines without dying. If the anti-cheat were truly evolving, how are these obvious instances still so prevalent? It erodes trust to its core, making players doubt the legitimacy of every encounter. Third, there's the massive ecosystem of real money trading, or RMT. Cheaters use their illicit advantages to collect the rarest loot and sell it for real currency on third-party websites. This RMT economy is a direct consequence of rampant cheating. By allowing cheaters to operate, BSG inadvertently fuels an underground market that devalues the achievements of every legitimate player. Whilst BSG has made changes to combat RMT, the problem persists because of its root cause. Cheating remains. Finally, there is a glaring lack of transparency. Players who believe they have been falsely banned are often met with a wall of silence. Nikita's statement about potentially developing a new proprietary kernel level anti-cheat was met with confusion, as players know the game's current anti-cheat battle eye is already a kernel level program. It can feel like misdirection, a way of appearing to take action without addressing fundamental flaws. There are, of course, counter-arguments to this cynical theory. The most common is that all major online shooters have a cheating problem. This is true. From Call of Duty to Counter-Strike, no developer has solved it. But this argument ignores what makes Tarkov different. In other games, you die, you respawn, you lose seconds. In Tarkov, you lose everything. Your gear, your loot, your time. Cheating in Tarkov doesn't just ruin a match, it shatters the game's entire high-stakes premise, making the experience uniquely painful. The second counter-argument is that BSG is genuinely trying, but the technological challenge is immense. This is also true. Cheat developers are sophisticated and constantly evolving. BSG has indeed invested in its anti-cheat team, but this defense starts to crumble when you weigh their efforts against the results, and, crucially, their own financial incentives. Even if their intentions are pure, the business model creates a fundamental conflict of interest. The very problem they are supposedly trying to eliminate is also a direct source of recurring revenue. This makes players deeply skeptical of claims that they are doing everything in their power. So, this leaves us with a developer that publicly declares wars on cheaters while potentially benefiting financially from their existence. It leaves us with a community so battered by years of rampant cheating that they have begun to believe the developers themselves might not be fully on their side. The theory that BSG needs cheaters to survive is a dark one, and it remains a theory, not a proven fact. But it's a theory born from a deep and growing crisis of trust. The patterns of reactive enforcement, blatant cheating, and a lack of transparency have created an environment where players are willing to believe the worst about the company behind the game they love. The recent ban wave was a step, but it was a step on what feels like an endless road. It addressed the symptoms, but not the root cause. The slow death of Escape from Tarkov may not come from a single event, but from a gradual erosion of faith, where players simply tire of fighting a war on two fronts, against the cheaters in-game, and against the suspicion that the developers aren't truly their allies. The ultimate question for Tarkov's future isn't just about getting better technology, it's about integrity. It's up to Battlestate Games to prove to its community that their loyalty and the game's long-term health are more valuable than a cheater's repurchase. So, what do you think? Is this a cynical conspiracy theory, or is it the cold, hard business reality of modern gaming? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. My own personal opinion, I truly believe that BSG do not want this epidemic in their game. Why invest in millions in BattleEye? Why try and create a game and focus on the small percentage of players who are cheating? It just doesn't make sense in my head. But I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Do appreciate you watching the video. If you did like this video, please sure to give it a thumbs up. If you do want to see more Tarkov related content, please sure to hit that subscribe and catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.